First and foremost, I want to thank Joan for the opportunity to come down here and speak with you. I'm sort of the one solo guy out here in the state, and I'm not an educator, but I get to be next to some really smart people here. I think. Why did I get into this? I got into this because, one, I'm a father, and I have children in the system. And then the other thing that happened to me was I didn't graduate college until I was 35 years old. I was throwing freight and putting up shelves in a grocery store and got married and said, okay, I finally got to finish this. And teachers made a huge difference in my life. I had some incredibly smart teachers that took a guy who tested into De Anza Junior College at the 9th grade math level and took me to a math degree. And now I write software for UC Santa Cruz and develop software for NASA. Teachers are fantastic, always have been. They recognize what we need and they work with us as individuals. The problem with common is that the assumption is we're all common, and we are not. We all have children or grandchildren. They're not the same. I have 2 daughters. They are completely different. One will go to college. One will probably go and become a chef. A common approach will not work. At the end of the day, I hope Dr. Stotsky's right and this dies a slow death, but it's going to be slow. And I'm going to need help in the politics side of this, because one voice isn't going to get it done, but I'll be swinging. Okay, a little bit about my school district. I got 38 sites, 7 high schools, 30,000 children, 1,600 teachers. We range from folks that do very well to folks that are economically disadvantaged like Appalachia. It's a huge challenge, but we're doing amazing things even with the handcuffs the states and the feds have put on us. We've got ag programs, we've got robotics programs, we have forensic biology. But the problem is getting at some of the math and science is that at the high school level, we have AP. But the AP courses aren't available to every student in every school. I have one school that has 17 courses, one that has 4, one that has 6. Again, we're now having to use selection to figure out where we're going to put our resources. One of my favorite quotes is by a doctor named Zhang Zong. I believe his name is up in Oregon. All the reindeer used to be able to play in American education. K through 12, everybody got a shot at the same thing. If you could achieve, you got a way through. That's not where we're at anymore. That's a problem for me as a parent. It's a problem for me as a citizen. False narrative is how I end up phrasing this most of the time. It's a polite way of saying we're being lied to. The bar has not been raised. When you look at what California's done, according to some of this, we added a calculus course. We've added some statistics. We've fudged around the edges. But when you look at what we've done at the K through 8 level, the bar has been lowered. When you look at how they've moved things up, when we used to do 2nd grade work is now 4th grade work. 3rd grade work is now 5th grade work. And at the same time, we're wasting hours of classroom time doing backwards, upside down mathematics based on funky base 10 modeling that parents don't understand. You're confusing children. And again, this was fielded as an experimental idea by a guy named Zimba, working with these folks to say, we're going to make this top-down model work. It's an experiment. My children are an experiment. Your children are an experiment. That's how I got here. How we make a difference is my board perspective. And California is a big state. We got a lot of work to do. But I want to explain sort of what they're doing, because at the same time they're tearing up they're making a jumble of our classrooms. They're also jumbling up and putting us in a situation where they may bankrupt our districts. When they talk about local control funding formula, that particular idea is based off of a piece of writing called Get Down to the Facts. It was partially authored by Michael Kirst. He's our state board president. Michael Kirst's mission is data collection. Michael Kirst is driving testing in the state. We have a very weak state superintendent. LCF's goal is to return California funding to 2008-9 pre-recession levels. Michael Kirst's writing alone says that in 2005 we were $32 billion short funding in California education. Those shortfalls don't count the requirements you've now placed on me as a district. You're now telling me I've got to buy computer systems for every child because without a computer I can't test. I got to buy wireless networks at $1 million because without the wireless network, I can't test. You've also asked us at the district level to fund retirement systems. The STRS and PERS are our certificated and salaried employees. Those contributions at the district level are going to go to 19 and 20% in 2019. So we've done computers, we've done wireless networks, we're doing retirement pension funds. We have to buy new curriculum, and you're shortfall funding us by $600 million a year just based on the testing requirement, and that ruling has been made. That pushback has to be made. And that gets to the politics of this. They're not informing you of what's going on in Sacramento correctly. They throw big numbers out. Every number in California is going to be big. You got 6 million students. Do some multiplication. $600 a computer. That's the cheap price we found. 6 million times 600, and you get to $3.4 some odd billion. You'll break districts. You will have at-risk children who are not passing these tests. These are all reasons to care. California, when you look at funding, we're $3,247 below the average student price funding across the nation. We're 10th in per capita income. We're 24th in local spending. We're 44th in the nation in what we spend in K through 12 education. We're 49th in student-teacher ratios. We'd have to hire 237,000 teachers just to break even and get to the average. The problem we had in California wasn't curriculum. The problem we had in California wasn't testing. The problem we have in California is putting the right resources in the right places and getting local control back. We know what's good for our children. If I'm making a mistake as a board member, you ought to be able to throw me out the door, replace me, and put somebody in place that makes the changes you want necessary. It's not where we're at right now. Right now, you've got everybody drinking Kool-Aid. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker. I don't do policy talking points. You've replaced me, now you lose the one voice saying anything, but in all honesty, everybody's towing the line. We got to do our homework. As parents, you got to show up and grab a mic and open comment. I promise you in politics, we're listening to the squeakiest wheel. If the room is full and you're yelling, we're paying attention. We don't have a choice. The room's generally empty. People don't show up to meetings. And the ones that are at home watching it on TV are the teachers who's making sure you don't do anything that's going to make their life any more difficult than we're already making it. The graduation test that was mentioned earlier, I was at a meeting Wednesday. If you offer me a mic, I'll show up. State Board of Education was holding a meeting in Santa Clara talking about using SBAC as our state graduation test because we got rid of Casey. They didn't get rid of Casey, they suspended it for 3 years. That means there's 3 options on the table. 1, you let it expire and Casey comes back. 2, you get rid of it completely, or 3, you replace it with something else. My position was Casey didn't work, lose it. 2, don't let it get reinstalled with the SBAC for certain. 3, you love to talk about college ready. How does college work? Show up, do the work, pass the course, you get a diploma. Why would you not apply the same rule from K through 12? You spend 12, 13 years in school, and you're going to base a child's graduation and their opportunity to open up other doors based on a test on a given day for 10 hours, because now we're talking SBAC. I don't think it should be any test. You've done the work. I didn't take an exit exam to get out of college. I took a writing test, make sure I could write. But at the end of the day, it was doing the coursework. Again, you do assessments, it will hammer our at-risk children. Again, I'm not necessarily worried about my children. I've got them. What I worry about is all the children we're going to leave behind. I used to say I do what I do because I don't want somebody to fall through the cracks. At this point, Common Core is throwing them off the cliff. They don't have a shot. Their parents don't have the resources to get these things done. It requires voices, and I'm going to keep repeating this because there needs to be more than one of me. Test refusal. They're right. You have the right to refuse the test. It's more than that now. California Mandates Commission has ruled on the testing opt-out. It's called Ed Code 60615. They ruled it's a reimbursable new requirement, meaning it's new. It's required, it's reimbursable. Districts are required to notify parents of their rights to excuse their children from testing. You need to get in front of your school boards, whether you're watching on the video or you're sitting in this room. Bring the material to your board. Ask them to make an agenda item that parents are to be informed when the test goes out. It's not optional. It is my first campaign promise. It'll be on my agenda next 18th of April. I did it by providing the Mandate Commission ruling. I provided a letter that we will give our parents. It informs the parents when the test will occur. It gives you the practice site. It tells you how you will get the results, and it tells you you have a right to excuse your children in clean, plain language. We're also talking about putting in our student handbook, transparency to the parents. My job is to do right policy-wise, is to do right by my parents, and we've got to tell parents what their rights are. In our good neighborhoods, those parents will do that. It's very difficult for me to convince parents in a Hispanic language, English learner neighborhood, economically disadvantaged neighborhood, they have a right without showing it to them in writing. They're not going to get on that fence because if they make a mistake, the price they pay will be more than mine. They need assurances from the boards. And they're right. The only way to stop this is to reduce the data flow. The only value in this test is the data they're collecting that Kirst wants. The test makers who get paid. ETS in California alone is grading this test. Why it takes till November to get back? You got to grade 3.2 million children's tests in English language arts and mathematics. And how did you get the people to grade it? You ran an ad on Craigslist because teachers aren't going to do this mess. They're tired. They just spent all year wading through the mess. And it's got uneducated, non-professional people looking at your children's test in a rapid fashion to get results back that they're now going to make decisions about. It's a problem. You don't hire people off of Craigslist to grade your children's work. That's what's happening. Again, there's a lack of honesty out there about how this is being perceived. It's why my children won't take the test ever. One will go to college because she has her AP courses. One will go to culinary school because she loves to cook. At the end of the day, what I'd love to have somebody answer me a question is, what's the privacy policy down at SBAC? Where's that at? I've been looking, I've been asking, I've got parents all over this country who've been looking for 3 years. Freedom of Information Acts. What data are they keeping? What are they collecting? What are they doing with it? It's not public. They'll claim they're not. How much metadata does it take to find out who your student is in a classroom? Hispanic, left-handed, 3rd grade in this school. It takes about 2 more pieces of data. Now you know who this child is. They're not doing this for free. Tracking our children from K through 12 years is a problem. People will tell me, well, your insurance company collects data. I chose to give the insurance company my data because I want my child taken care of. There's a difference between me saying yes and me not knowing what you're doing with it, cataloging it, selling it down the road so that Pearson or McGraw-Hill or Department of Ed or Arnie Duncan or David Coleman or the cat whose name I can't remember who got run out of a rail from New York, who's now in charge, who is a test and punish Secretary of Ed again. He didn't leave New York to cheers. John King, thank you very much. I have friends in New York. So what do? We get people elected. I will help anybody in this state who wants to run. I will give you my model. I had a fantastic parent across the street, not across the street, nearby in Vista. She shipped me every one of my signs that she made by hand. She was my campaign manager assistant. Her sister shipped everything in a UPS truck. We made my flyers. We knocked on doors. We target smaller communities. We don't target million-dollar cities. Campaigns are expensive. We do this one bite at a time. One bite at a time. I will help anybody. I will send you my information. I will give you my flyer. I will tell you how to pull papers. We will get this done. I put my money where my mouth is. I've gotten one lady that helped in New York, Ann Laval, Wappinger School District. She's elected. I'm helping 2 more parents right now run in May. Stacy Rogan, Michelle Roysen. I've sent them money and everything I've got. We do this together, California, and I'm gonna need help. I'm easy to find. And if you can't find me like this, I got a cowboy hat I normally wear. That's my trademark, and it makes me easy to find in a crowd. I can't thank you enough for letting me come down here. I can't thank you all enough for listening to me. I hope I made a difference, at least in how you think about things. Please contact me.